Hi, thanks for watching Projects A to Z's short video of the day. Today's topic is about restaurant restroom requirements. So first, let's talk about the minimum number of restrooms required. This is strictly out of the Building Code, California Plumbing Code Table 4-1, Requirements for Restaurants, Pubs, and Lounges. This table clearly lists out the requirements for water closet, urinal, and lavatories. For example, if for a restaurant with occupant load 1 to 50, one water closet is required for male, one for female, one urinal for male, one lavatory for male, and one lavatory for females. As the occupant load increases, the number of fixtures also increase, as you can see on this chart here. Also, minimum of one ADA restroom is required. We'll go over the ADA restroom requirements later. However, at this point, we just want to let you know briefly, one ADA restroom is about 50 square feet. Alright, so now these requirements are not difficult to meet at all, unless space is very limited. So let's take a look at one example. This is 1,000 square feet restaurant. As you can see on this floor plan, in order to meet the health and building code, the kitchen and the cashier counter are taking up most of the space already. We have one ADA restroom so far. If we are required to have two, one for male, one for female, then we would be left with no seating area at all. So what do we do? Alright, now let's take a look at the code together. This is California Plumbing Code 412.3, separate facilities. It sets separate toilet facilities shall be provided for each sex. That means one toilet for male, one toilet for female. However, there are exceptions. The first one is for residential installations, of course, and let's look at the second one. The second one, it says in occupancies serving 10 or fewer people, one toilet facility designed for use by no more than one person at a time shall be permitted for both sexes. That means unisex restroom. So if you have an occupancy serving 10 or fewer people, one unisex restroom, ADA compliant, would be enough. And now there's also the third exception. It says in business and mercantile occupancies with a total floor area of 1,500 square feet or less, one toilet facility designed for use by no more than one person at a time shall satisfy the requirement for serving customers and employees of both sexes. So now it seems like this exception would work. However, there are some building officials there do not interpret restaurant as business or mercantile occupancies. For the restaurant projects we have done before, 80% of the time the building officials would approve a unisex restroom for 1,500 square feet or less. However, there are that 20% of the time when the building official is not accepting restaurant as business and mercantile occupancies. What they will do if they'll come back to the table 4-1 and insist that for restaurants, pubs, and lounges, one water closet is required for male and one for female. That means two restrooms per restaurant if they're going by table 4-1. Well, you might argue that a unisex restroom would satisfy this requirement because indeed there's one water closet for male and one for female if both are sharing one restroom. Would this satisfy the requirement? Again, it really depends on how the building official is interpreting the code. And from our experience, we would recommend for restaurants larger than 1,500 square feet, two ADA restrooms are recommended definitely by code, no questions asked. However, for restaurants smaller than 1,500 square feet, we can try out with one ADA restroom unisex, but however, we always have to prepare for the worst case scenario. If needed, we always have to perhaps add a smaller regular restroom, non-ADA, but that will still satisfy the one male, one female requirement. Again, if you have more time on your own, you can go back to the California Plumbing Code, section 412.3. The exceptions 1, 2, 3. Read it all over again. Do researches on your own and refer to table 4-1 for more information. Okay, now let's talk about what ADA restrooms are. I'm pretty sure you have seen one before. Out in the public restroom, you see there's these smaller regular toilet stalls, and at the end of these stalls there's always one bigger unit. That unit is ADA units. What ADA means stands for is American Disability Act. This act ensures that new constructions can accommodate the use of ADA person, making sure they can use and maneuver through the space comfortably. Okay, now, so what makes the ADA stall bigger are these minimum clearance requirements inside. Okay, let's take a closer look at this ADA restroom. The first requirement is the 60-inch diameter clearance. This is to make sure that a wheelchair person can turn around inside of this restroom freely. And this 60-inch diameter clearance can encroach into the door swing by the maximum of 12 inches. This is the most common knowledge. A lot of you are probably aware of this already. Now, the next requirement is the space clearance around the toilet area. See this blue dotted line? This area is enlarged after the 2010 ADA code. It used to be 2'8" from the side of the toilet to any obstruction. Now it's enlarged to 5 foot from one end to the other end. So and this side is 56 inch from the back of the toilet to the clear space in front of it. Now the next requirement is the 30 by 48 inch space in front of the sink. So we need 30 inch this way and 48 inch this way of clear space in front of the sink in order for the wheelchair person to use the sink freely. Now there's also the 18 inch requirement. Both fixtures, the center line of the toilet and the sink, needs to be minimum 18 inch from the wall to make sure there's enough space for the wheelchair person to access to these two fixtures. Lastly is the grab bar. We need 36 inch grab bar this way and 42 inch minimum this way. The maximum distance between the wall and the grab bar is 12 inches, but we don't need to worry too much about these as long as you buy ADA compliant grab bars and follow the instruction menu, then you should be okay. So far so good with the floor plan. Now let's go over the vertical requirements. I like to go over a few dimensions, critical dimensions here. First is the height of the mirror. We have to make sure the bottom of the mirror is not hung more than 40 inch off the floor. We have to make sure that this person can see his face in the mirror. So we have to make sure the mirror is not hung too high. The next dimension is the 34 inch. The top of the sink cannot be hung more than 34 inch off the floor to ensure that this person can use the sink comfortably. The next dimension is the knee clearance. We need 27 inch minimum this way and 8 inch minimum this way in order to allow this person to come inside and use the sink comfortably. So as you can see here, a lot of the residential vanities are out of the question. With cabinet doors underneath the sink, it's just not accommodating to ADA person at all. They cannot come in and use the sink comfortably. So how can we select the right sink for your restaurant? Sure, you have seen one of these before. These are your standard ADA sinks. These are also your green light to building inspections. So when the building inspector sees this, you'll have no problem passing the ADA inspection. However, the problem with this is just not aesthetically appealing at all. The plumbings are all exposed, and the fixture itself is just pretty boring looking. Okay, let's see what other options we have here. So in this picture, we're seeing another version of the ADA sink. There's clearly enough knee space underneath. The only problem with this is the plumbing. It's still exposed. So after all, it's not all that aesthetically appealing. The second problem with this installation is the mirror height. If the sink is at 34 inch high, the bottom of the mirror looks to be more than 40 inch. Because if you subtract 40 inch by 34, you're left with only 6 inch. So it seems to be more than 6 inch here. Another correct representation of the mirror height is shown on this picture. The bottom of the mirror and the top of the sink is about 6 inch here. And in this picture, this seems to be more than 6 inch. However, this seems to be a very quick fix. All they need to do is to lower the mirror and just bring it closer to the top of the wainscoting here. Okay, looking at the next picture here, this looks to be a very smart solution. There's custom cabinetry to cover the plumbing at a slanted angle, so the wheelchair person can still come inside and utilize the sink comfortably. Have a nice looking vessel sink. Now without this ironwork, this sink would be ADA because we would have the proper knee clearance space. With the plumbing being part of the design, this is a very nice looking sink that could be ADA compliant. Now be careful with these vessel sinks. If there's a surface underneath the vessel, something like this, we have to make sure the height of the vessel is less than 7 inch. Otherwise it won't be ADA compliant because we have to meet again the 34 inch maximum and the 27 minimum underneath the sink. And lastly, this example here is not ADA clearly because there's no knee clearance space underneath the sinks. So we have to be very careful with these vessel sinks. Not all vessel sinks are ADA compliant. We have to really check the 34 and the 27 inch clearance space. Okay, there goes my short video of the day. For any extra information about restaurant restroom design, please visit our website at www.projectsaToZ.com. Thank you very much. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.